Back inside Rogers Place, the Oilers, of course, coming off a big win in Winnipeg on Thursday night. It's the panel brought to you by Sport Check. Tom Gazzola with Jack Michaels and Bob Stauffer from the Oilers Radio Network. Gentlemen, the Oilers get some power play goals. It's been talked about because it's struggled. I think in the last 12 games, they've scored in 3 of those on the power play, 3 for 4 the other night in Winnipeg. And when they score on the power play, they seem to win.
Well, they're 8-1 when they have a power play goal this season, and that's no real surprise considering that special teams and goaltending are universally acclaimed as key to getting a W in the standings. But for Edmonton in particular, I mean, it had been 0 for 12 the past 3 games, which were all losses, and 0 for 24 going back in their last 8 losses. So it's something that Edmonton needed to get fixed, and they did in an unconventional way. I mean, they had Mark Letestu on the first unit, and you say, okay, well, I understand that. You want the right-hand shot on the point, except he went to the slot and scored that first goal, and that seemed to get everything going. And they actually had Draisaitl out at the point at times. So it was interesting deployment. It worked. And most importantly, Edmonton got some goals from that hash mark area, where I think when you look at Edmonton's goals on the power play this year, there have been a couple of tic-tac-toe variety, but I think of Jordan Eberle, a lot of those goals are ugly goals in the slot on deflections and the kind of plays they made in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and they talked about getting greasy goals, Bob. How about outside the power play, the offense? How do you feel it's kind of evolving here of late?
Well, I think the team's been snake bit offensively, and I think that the numbers suggest that. I mean, you have Jordan Eberle, who's over a 12% career shooter at even strength. He's below 6%. You know, you have Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins both in and around 10 to 11%. At even strength, Draisaitl's below 4%, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is 1.9% at even strength. He's got 1 even strength goal this year. You know, the Oilers are going to play the Ducks coming up, and last year Ryan Getzlaf, and he's a heck of a player. But he had one of those statistical anomalies where he wasn't scoring in the first couple months of the year. So it's my belief these things tend to even out. Just like last night, we saw the Winnipeg Jets, and I think you and me were really, like, Patrick Laine is a special player, can absolutely shoot the pill, but will he continue shooting the puck at 20% all season long? That's probably a little unlikely that both him and Scheifele are at 20%. Numbers tend to, after a while, they come back into the pack, and I think that'll bode well specifically for Nugent-Hopkins and Jordan Eberle, because the Oilers are going to need that second line scoring. And by the way, Draisaitl, I thought, looked pretty good with Connor McDavid last night.
He's got 20 points on the year. He's having a good year. You alluded to the Ducks. They come in for the rare back-to-back home games, Saturday and Sunday, and then Minnesota's here Sunday night. Guys, when we take a look ahead at these next 5 games, the Oilers hit the road for 3 after the Minnesota game. Just how do we, I mean, they need points against the Pacific Division, especially against Anaheim, LA, San Jose. They're in the mix with these guys now.
Well, they are in the mix, but if you're going to win the division and you're going to make hay in the division, you've got to win those division games. And they came away from Arizona with just 1 point out of 4. They lost road games at Los Angeles, at Anaheim. They haven't played San Jose yet, but ultimately, if you're going to rise within the division and you're going to secure a playoff spot, you've got to start winning the division games on a consistent basis. And these are all teams, quite frankly, that have tormented Edmonton over the last several years. Anaheim, LA, and Arizona. I mean, these are teams that have an impressive record head-to-head against Edmonton. And until that flips, the Oilers are really going to have to scramble to find points outside the division to stay in contention. They've done it to this point. They're 6-1 against Central Division teams. They've outscored the Central 30-12. No reason why they can't carry over some of that success inside the division against Anaheim.
Bob, what are you watching for this week?
Well, I mean, Jack mentions the numbers against the Central Division. I mean, to me, that's stunning, because I think we both probably think the Central Division, top to bottom, at least over the last couple of years, has been the best division in hockey. You know, I want to see the Oilers have some energy on the second of the back-to-back against Minnesota. Obviously, the focus right away has to be against the Ducks. The Ducks are a good team. They can shut you down a bit. This is the, what do you call it, the Bruce Boudreau?
This is the Bruce Boudreau Daily Double this weekend. Minnesota, the best defensive club, and Anaheim coming off a year where they're the best.
Right, so it's going to be a challenging weekend, but the Oilers are going to have to find some energy on Sundays, because, and they got to score early in games as well. And give them credit yesterday for rallying against Winnipeg. And then we're going to have some excitement when we go to Buffalo and Philadelphia. You know, Jack Eichel's back, Jack against Connor.
And he's come roaring out of the gates.
Right. He's got the 3 goals and the 4 points in 2 games. And you know what? We know this. The Oilers can't play any worse than they did against Buffalo earlier this season. And Connor will be jacked up for that, but we can't look past the first 2 home games. This is an important weekend for the Oilers.
All right, Anaheim Saturday night, Minnesota here on Sunday. Jack and Bob have the call for you, as always, on 6:30. Chet, I've got you covered right here on EdmontonOilers.com.